Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host Lee Zimmerman, and I'm here with my producer, co-host, and good buddy Billy Hubbard. And today we're really excited to have Willy Braun of the band Reckless Kelly joining us. Hi Willy, how are you? How's it going?
Doing all right. How you guys doing?
We're doing fine, buddy. It's great to have you on the show, and I'll say at the outset that your new album, The Last Frontier, is it's really terrific. It's a wonderful record, and it's your first album, I guess, in 4 years. I mean, the inevitable question is, what took you so long?
Well, yeah, it's been about 4 years. We released our last record. It was a double album.
Mm-hmm.
And that one came out right in the middle of the pandemic. So It felt like we had a little extra traction for it once we got back on the road. And, we're finally, it was about almost 2 years before we were able to actually go out and play gigs and play songs off that record. So we kind of milked it for a little longer than we normally would have. And then we made this new album, The Last Frontier, and we kind of sat on it for a little longer than we were originally planning on doing it. We were kind of trying to figure out what to do with it and when to put it out and with who and yada yada. And long story short, we finally decided to just put it out on our own, and just took us a little while longer than we were thinking it would. So between those two things, it did take us a year or two longer to get an album out.
Well, it was worth the wait. It really was. It's a terrific album, and very, very much up to the trademark sound and standard that we expect from Reckless Kelly. I mean, you guys have always done wonderful work, and I think that that's exemplified by the fact that you're four-time Grammy nominees and a Grammy winner in 2014. So I think that attests to all you've accomplished. It really does.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, we try to make every record top the last one. I don't know if we always do that, but that's always it's always kind of the idea when we go into the studio. We don't want to stray too far from the signature sound, but also try to keep from making the same record over and over. So somewhere in between reinventing the wheel and sticking close to what people kind of dug about the band in the first place is what we do. And always just kind of try to make everyone as good as it can be, and something that we'll still be proud of 20 years down the road.
Well, I ask a lot of artists this question, but when you've achieved such adulation and respect and a great fan following, when you go in to record a new album, does that kind of weigh on you a bit? Like, oh, we have a certain standard and we have to, you said before, you kind of explained the fact that you wanted to put something out that stays true to your signature sound, but not make the same record twice. So, does that enter your mind when you go into the studio? We've achieved this, and now we've got to uphold our standard here.
Yeah, in certain ways it does. Like we definitely don't want to let anybody down, but it's not something I really worry about because we're pretty particular with what we put out there, no matter what it is. Whether it's a record or a album cover or even just the content we put out there on the internet. We want everything to be up to a certain standard, and if it's not going to be something that we'd be proud of, then we probably would just pull the plug and not put it out, and sit tight and wait until I write some better songs or until we're in a better mood or whatever the problem would be. So I don't really worry about it, but you're right, it does kind of have this, people expect a certain amount of quality from us. So on one hand, it can be a little bit of a daunting task when I sit down to trying to write a record for the most part, because it's every time I wonder, man, do I have another 10 or 12 songs left in the tank? Or
obviously you do.
Do I have 30 or 40 that I can whittle down to 10? Because that's kind of how I've been doing it for the last, several records.
Right.
But No, but also we have this catalog of, pretty decent stuff already built up. So that's, we've got that in our back pocket for the live shows, and, maybe gives us a little bit of forgiveness if we do put out a couple of lousy songs here and there.
No need for forgiveness. No need for forgiveness. Just appreciation,
I was going to ask Willie, this album, is this the one I think I'd read or heard somewhere he's coming out with, trying to keep them all right at 3 minutes or less?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've been writing for this record for quite a while, like even before the American Jackpot and American Girls came out, probably for 5 or 6 or so years. I had this idea to put out an album of just short and sweet tunes, kind of like old pop songs that had to be about 3 minutes or less to fit on a 45.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of the concept, and but not really trying to really pick songs for it that fit that mold instead of forcing ideas into that mold. So I was like, if I had a song that I thought would fit that, over the last 6 or 7 years, I'd just put it on a different pile and save it for this album. So I wasn't forced. And it's funny because this record is it's about 30 minutes long. There's 11 songs on it, so there's only 2 or 3 songs that are over 3 minutes. Most of them are about like 2.5. But it doesn't really feel that way to me when I listen to it.
No, yeah.
That's pretty.
We kind of tried to make every moment count, so to speak. Like it was, short solos and short intros, and the verses and choruses are all short and kind of don't bore us, get to the chorus stuff. So I think we kind of got more bang for the buck out of what we did put into it, and that translates to songs that don't really seem short unless you're really paying attention to it.
Yeah, I think you did great, man. Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity, yeah. I mean, it sounds very sort of old school, radio ready, if radio was doing what it used to do, but it really sounds like kind of an old school traditional way of doing things, Yeah,
and I forgot I hadn't had a 45 so long. Yeah, you can't fit most songs on there anymore, can you?
Yeah.
45,
For us too, we've had a lot of songs that over the years there've been at least 1 or 2 songs on almost all of our records that are 5 or 6 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And then we're probably more like 3.5, 4 minutes in general. So shortening them up was a little challenging, but it's a lot of fun to just attack it from a completely different mindset.
Oh yeah. I know the guitar players always like the long solos. So.
Yeah, or drum solo, or more cowbell.
That's probably Cody,
yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah. The long guitar solo is kind of going away. I think maybe our next record might have to just be longer guitar solo.
There you go.
Because that's one of my favorite things about music and rock and roll, especially. It's a lot of the new pop stuff. Like you don't hear a lot of guitar, which it's good stuff, a lot of it. But I'm just like, man, what a goddamn guitar solo.
I know, man.
It's there's so much of the new music is all about this production, and it's so over the top, and you got dancers and you got gimmickry, and so hearing songs that really go to the root and pull the essential melodies. I mean, that's really special now. It's really special to get back to that in a way.
And maybe I hope guitar solos are not going out. Yeah,
no,
that's kind of like steel guitars. They kind of, I know the steel guitar players in Nashville, they got low on business for a while.
Still get a lot more, I think, but the guitar solo will definitely make a triumphant return, and then when it happens,
there
you go. So what is the significance of the name of the album, The Last Frontier? It sounds like there's a lot of finality to that. I mean, where did that come about? The Last Frontier.
Man, it was more of a coincidence than anything. I just, we were looking for a title for the album, and had that song, The Last Frontier, that I wrote with my brother Gary and our buddy Jeff Crosby. And so that was a pretty strong song. We knew it was going to go on the record, and then we decided to make it a duet and called Kelly to see if she'd sing on it, and she did and crushed it. So it's a really strong song, and I thought the title was just a cool title, and more of a coincidence that it's kind of happening as we kind of wind down our touring, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I wish we were smart enough to have done that all on purpose, but it was more just kind of fell into place. And I think it's just a good title for the record, and it really is kind of fitting for right now. It's not going to be the last Kelly record, hopefully, but it is just, it's a good timing as far as where we're at right now.
I mean, it's very auspicious, and look, you guys, you'll be marking your 30th anniversary in just a couple of years here too. What a milestone that is! I mean, wow, 30 years, 28 years now, I guess, right, or almost 30.
30, I think, if we did the math right, which good chance we didn't.
I've never been good in math, Willie. I've just never, unfortunately. So you're embarking, or you're on what's been billed as your final tour. Is this in fact going to be your final tour? I mean, are you just going to not be out on the road anymore after this?
Well, yes and no. Like we're retiring from touring, like as far as the way we look at it, which has always been for, almost 30 years, basically play every night. We're out there going from, a couple hundred nights a year to 150 down to 120 down to we did 75 a couple of years ago. And then last year and this year and next, we're trying to do 35 or so shows. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but basically we're not going to go out and tour traditionally like we always used to. And it's just going to be, we'll make a record every once in a while, and then we'll still just play a handful of shows a year here and there once we kind of have our last tour, which is next year. So we're not really going away. We're going to keep the brand alive, and we all still really like playing together, and we like making records, and we all still get along, and we still have things we would like to do as a band, but we're just kind of at a point where we're looking to do something besides just hit the road all the time for the rest of our lives. So
right.
We're dialing that, and the only way for us to really get that point across, even for ourselves, and the people that work for us, our agents and managers, etc., is to just frame it as we're retiring from the road, So otherwise, no, they're taking right back at 150 shows a year next year if we.
Yeah, right. I mean, you yourself, Will, you have a very big job because you write the majority of the band's songs, don't you? I mean, it's. Yeah. I mean, that's quite a bit of responsibility. But I noticed on the new album, you have Gary and Mickey, your brothers, the leaders of Mickey and the Motor Cars, also contributing as well. I mean, this is a very talented family we're talking about here.
Mick and I have a lot over the years. He's had, probably half a dozen or so songs on our records over the years, and I've got a bunch of co-writes on their albums. And Gary just started writing a lot more in the last, 8 or 10 years. He's getting to be a really great writer. So him and I have been writing a lot more lately. And our buddy Jeff Crosby, him and I, we've been taking a little songwriting trip for the last 2 or 3 years together. And we've been writing a lot together. And that trip over the first couple of years, we wrote, between all three of us putting them on our different albums, I think there's 6 or 8, maybe even 10 songs that we've written together that made somebody's record. So I went through a phase for quite a while where I wasn't doing a lot of co-writing, and now I'm kind of drifting back into co-writing more. I kind of go in and out of that. It's probably mostly because I really enjoy writing with Gary and Crosby and a few other people. And you get to a point where you have just piles of half-finished songs that you're kind of stuck in a rut on, and really the only way to get them out there and finish them is to toss them to somebody else. And 9 times out of 10, if it's a good idea, they'll be able to take it from a different perspective and can pretty easily pull you out of that rut. Because once you get stuck in this mindset of this is what this song's about, and even like having an opening line for the next verse that isn't going anywhere or something like that, somebody else can grab that song and do a 180 spin on it real quick if it's worth a shit.
I mean, writing with your brothers, does that kind of put a different perspective on it, rather than if they were, friends and co-writers and other talented musicians? But when they're your siblings, does that add a different element to the process at all?
It probably does. Like, it's real easy for us to write together because we've known each other and we're so close that there's no not a lot of intimidation or worried about hurting the other guy's feelings if you don't like.
Yeah.
That's kind of out the window. Like the first few times you write with somebody outside of that dynamic, it's a little bit of, tiptoeing around to see how sensitive they're going to be. Or some people can be really controlling about, if it's their idea and they have a very, detailed idea of how they want the song to go or whatever. But everybody's a little different when you write with them. But writing with my brothers has been super easy just because, we're really comfy with each other.
Well, that's good. I mean, I would think if I was doing anything with my brother, it would be what you were describing, controlling and bossy, because, that's how it could be. I mean, there's such a thing as the sibling rivalry, and let's face it, the history of rock and roll is littered with that. I mean, you talk about the Everly Brothers or the Brothers Davies and the Kinks or Oasis. I mean, how have you guys managed to not get into that kind of rut, where you end up, I can't stand you, I can't do this anymore with you? You've been able to avoid that, hopefully, and happily, yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, we have arguments, and we're also split into two different bands, so that probably helps. But
yeah, there you go.
I remember you guys have a cool way of writing. Don't you get a cabin somewhere and hole up for a while?
We probably, it has a lot to do with the fact that we're really tight. We grew up, the four of us out in the middle of nowhere, and, we were homeschooled, and for the most part, unless we were on the road, we, grew up in the wilderness. And so there's only four of us to hang out with, and so we've been really good friends at the core of all of it since we were, born. And I think that always comes first, when get into an argument or something like that over whatever. It's usually not even about music. It's always about business or,
right.
Somebody shit a little too close to camp or whatever.
Yeah. Understood.
We always have that in the back of our heads that, we're all really supportive of each other and really good friends. And if anybody was to mess with that dynamic, we'd all have each other's backs, so it's, that comes first for us, and it's sad that some other guys don't have that in the, the music industry, and see people that haven't been able to keep it together and, remain brothers first and business partners second.
Yeah. It seems to, proliferate throughout the history of, popular music, these brotherly spats, but it's a great thing that you've managed to avoid that.
Yeah, we've also managed to keep it on the down low whenever we do have something going on. We don't have to go up. We haven't had to, smash any guitars over each other's heads on stage.
Right, or get into fisticuffs on stage and make the headlines in that way. Well, I think we have, Billy, we have a song pulled up here. We have the title track, the last we have pulled up here.
keep looking down the road. Yeah, keep looking down the road is what we keep pulled up here.
So why don't we play some of that, and then we'll come right back. Yeah,
sounds great.
Okay.
Life comes at you with breakneck speed, sometimes all at once. So a wise man finds the beauty and purpose of every little moment between the mud and the dust. So keep looking down the Now when they're digging through the ashes of the old times, from the fallout of yesterday, all the rust on the wheels that have turned here, just like us, it's all fading away. So however you choose to spend your time here, whatever you got the courage to believe, make no mistake, we're all one big shake from knowing Earth is one hell of a machine. So keep looking down the road, keep looking down the road. Ain't no highway miles on a second-hand soul. So keep looking down the road, keep looking down the road, keep looking down the road. Man, if I had to guess, I'd say nobody knows. Keep looking down the road.
What a great song.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that just typifies the sound that you guys have always been famous for, that resilient, robust sound. I mean, it just that's a lot of R's, but it just pops out of you, and it's like anthemic in a way. It really is. I mean, it's anthemic. It's just such a terrific, upbeat, grabbing song. And
I've seen that cool scenery you had in the video. That was a little bit about how you shot that, I guess, yourself. You're sort of a photographer too, right?
yeah, you're a photographer, aren't you? An artist.
Try not to refer to myself as a photographer because, if I ever actually had to answer any questions on how many bits done.
What kind of camera? What kind of lens are you using? Is it a 3x5 by point? Yeah, I couldn't.
It's pretty much magic as far as I'm concerned. But I bought a camera, years ago because I live up in Idaho for the most part now, and it's just I'm constantly seeing great sunrises and sunsets, and sometimes the moon pops up over the mountains, and it's just and I wanted to have a real camera. And so I learned just enough to capture landscape stuff, and I'm learning a little more every now and then. But anyway, I basically let the camera do all the work. But that video, I just kind of did it mostly just to see if I could do it because I have a drone, and I shot the whole thing on an iPhone and a drone.
Oh, cool.
And it's kind of weird because I'd like set up a tripod and go stand out in the desert, sing like Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite football himself.
Yeah, throw a football over that mountain.
yeah.
So I just let the backdrops do all the heavy lifting, and I got this drone setting where you lock it onto the pickup and it'll like just follow you and stuff. So it was really fun making. It's a lot of work, but I just kind of wanted to see if I could make a video like that and have it cost basically nothing.
Yeah.
Since now you make a video, and sometimes we made another video that turned out really cool with a little more production involved. But a lot of times you go up, you spend $5 or $10 grand, or a lot of times way more on a video. In this day and age, it's like, what do you do with it?
Right.
You throw it up, get a certain amount of hits, and you can cut out clips of it for different content. But
It's tough getting
for
return
bands
on videos. Yeah, these days, man.
like where is an outlet for it? So you spend all this dough on it, and it's just like, what for?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you live up in where you guys were originally from, in Idaho. I mean, that's your sort of birthplace and where you were born, raised, and all that other stuff. So I know you were in Austin for a while.
Yeah, I'm in Austin now. I still have a place here, and
Okay.
I'm down a little less than I used to. I'm staying in town right now for a couple weeks. I was supposed to be back home right now, but had a little mishap with the skill saw a couple weeks ago and cut my hand. So I'm here. Yeah.
Ow.
Man. That's terrible.
It could have been a lot, but it's got me laid up for a couple of months as far as won't be able to play guitar and stuff. So
I won't ask you how you did that because it might make me feel queasy, and I hate to feel queasy or woozy. Yeah, it's So God, okay,
So,
all right.
little act. It's I'll be back to 100% in a couple of month or so. But anyway, I guess back to the question is, I have a place here in Austin, and I've been up in Idaho pretty much full time unless we're on the road or I've got some other reason to take off for a while. But it's just a killer spot. I'm just out in the middle of nowhere and look out the front door, and it's the tallest mountain in Idaho is right across the valley.
Sounds beautiful.
Oh man,
Gary and I both have cabins right real close to me, and it's just a sweet little spot, and it's hard to drag me away anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have a rich heritage there. I mean, you're a multi-generational family to begin with, right? I mean, this was kind of in your genes, so to speak. And I don't mean blue jeans. I mean GENES jeans.
Oh, both.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But
our grandpa was a musician. He played accordion and Hammond B3 and piano. He was like the house piano player at a casino in Jackpot, Nevada, which is right on the Idaho-Nevada border. And for like 25 years, he played organ and piano there for 5 nights a week.
Wow.
And
wow.
And my dad and his brothers were musicians. They still are. I don't know why I said was, but they're all musicians. And so we grew up playing music. So yeah, it's like the third generation. And then my little brother Mickey's daughter Hattie just got up this year at the Braun Brothers reunion and sang a couple songs with another friend of hers. So, and she's 6 years old. So now we're technically 4 generations of professional musicians.
She's 6 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. Child prodigy. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like you were destined to do this, that at a certain point, there was no question that this is what you were going to pursue, I guess, right? I mean, never any doubt.
I always knew I wanted to do it, and I think Cody as well. Like we started getting up and singing with our dad when we were really little. I think, about Hattie's age or even younger. And I always loved music, and it was always just around. So it was never forced on us, but we all started playing instruments and singing, and we'd just start jumping up with dad and stuff. And eventually we kind of just became his band. We were a hell of a lot cheaper than other guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Mickey took a couple of years off when the family band broke up, and Cody and I started Reckless Kelly, and they did other things for not too long, like 3 or 4 years, and then they started Mickey and the Motor Cars, and I think they went and had real jobs for a while. Like, let's give that music thing another try.
Yeah. So you've obviously done well for yourselves. You made the family proud. This year, you were named Outlaw Group of the Year by the 2024 Ameripolitan Awards people. Outlaw Group of the Year. That doesn't mean you're out there robbing trains or anything like that, but you're holding to that sort of ethos, that.
Yeah, I think it just means we don't get played on the radio.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. What was?
Oh no, Dale Watson started those awards, and it's kind of his response to all the country awards shows that aren't really featuring much real, classic country and stuff like that. And so Dale started that award show. It's actually become kind of a thing down here. It's pretty cool. So we were honored because guys like Dale, they don't toss around the term outlaw very liberally. So we were, if Dale Watson calls you an outlaw, it's a pretty good feather in the cap as far as we're concerned.
Yeah. I think Dale, we haven't had Dale Watson on the show, but I think I read somewhere he called us something else. Yeah. Not like outcasts, I think he was called. Outcast. No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm making all that up. I don't know. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Willie, and thank you very much for taking the time, and thank you very much for all this great music over the past 30 years. I mean, you guys are Pretty brilliant indeed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, we're going to head on out here, let you go, do a little outro here. So, yeah, big thanks, Willy Braun of Reckless Kelly. Check out their new album, The Last Frontier, recklesskelly.com. And big thanks to Lee Zimmerman, our host here. He's got a new book out, available on Amazon, called 30 Years Behind the Glass, about the great Jim Gaines. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to my Backstage Pass on your favorite platform. And we'll see y'all next time. Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Bye.